This report just told us everything about the winless Pelicans as the losses continue to mount and get worse. We will break down the latest details and reports inside this edition of Pelicans Digest. What's good with it, y'all? It's your people, Melz On The MIC, back once again inside Pelicans Digest. Thank you so much for tuning in, man, and thank you so much once again for subscribing. And if you haven't done it yet, what you waiting for, man? Quit playing, man. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I know we stink right now, but this is where you'll get the latest reports, analysis, and more about the New Orleans Pelicans right here on Pelicans Digest. It's Melz talking about those Pels, and as we exclusively reported to you yesterday, the Pelicans are now 0-4. I told you this yesterday, going into this game last night against Denver, the Pelicans was going to lose this game and go 0-4, and I was correct again in my prediction. I also was correct in my prediction that Willie Green, knowing Willie Green, having watched many a year of Willie Green basketball, was going to go with DeAndre Jordan. I didn't expect him to start DeAndre Jordan. I just thought he was just going to have to give him some minutes, but he started the man. He started DeAndre Jordan. So I was correct in my assessment there. The thing that I wasn't correct on was how this team quit on him last night. This team, we saw it, this team quit on him last night. They have given up on him. And before and inside this episode, I got reports. Lots of reports are coming out this morning that can confirm that this team, that Willie Green has lost his locker room. And these guys are not listening to him. And his decisions are causing a lot of confusion within his team, because it's hard for you to build chemistry with a team of new players if you're starting a different lineup every night. 4 games in a row, 4 different lineups. 4 games in a row, 4 different lineups. And tonight, and last night, I'm sorry, you may have discovered upon something that could take this offense to another level, but knowing Willie Green, he ain't going to follow through. But I'll get into that in a minute. Because before I started this episode, I was talking to my wife, and I asked her, I didn't want to come on here with my fan hat on and just spend the entire episode crying and complaining about Willie Green. And my wife was like, well, start with what you thought was good about last night. I was like, okay, I'll tell you what, that's a good idea, honey. So I'm going to go ahead and start with what was good about last night. If there was anything good about last night, is that you find out that Jeremiah Fears is your point guard of the future. Jeremiah Fears. Never mind the stat line. I know he had 27 points. I don't care about his stat line. What I saw in the first quarter, in the first half of that game, was Jeremiah Fears playing like an NBA point guard is supposed to play. Not that modern crap that you see nowadays where shoot first. He was a facilitator most of the first half. He only had I think he finished the first half with 6 points and 6 assists. If you saw in the first quarter how controlled the Pelicans looked on offense, they wasn't out trying to shoot when you had Jordan Poole at the point guard, he was out there trying to chunk up threes and try to shoot the gym out, him and Trey together. What you saw Fears was a young 18-year-old directing the offense. Go here, move here. I need you to move over here. There was ball movement to start the game. To where, yes, the position, they were taking up a lot of time on the shot clock, but they were looking for good shots and good opportunities. Now, granted, a lot of those opportunities didn't fall because Herb got open a couple of times, Trey got open a couple of times, they couldn't hit the shot. But at the end of the day, Jeremiah Fears operated the offense and ran the offense like an NBA point guard is supposed to run it. If you can't score, you look for somebody else to feed first. Teams are starting to key in that you have the ability to crash the lane and get the defense to crash in on them, and you could get somebody open. Fears was doing that at the start of in the first half mostly. Now, he was getting burned on defense, but even in the second half, he picked it up on defense. He decided to start playing full court like Jose Alvarado would. And it led to some turnovers in some instances. Again, the Pelicans were within reach, once again, of winning this game and taking the lead back, but they didn't do it. It also helped that you had Jordan Hawkins glued to the bench most of the game. That was an adjustment on Willie's behalf, I guess. For all of y'all who want to insist on defending Willie Green, that was an adjustment, I guess. But again, the game got out of hand quickly, as always in the third quarter. You finished the second quarter with a 12-0 run. And you're thinking, okay, they got actually a chance. This is why I keep saying about this Pelicans team and why it's Willie Green. Because there are moments in these games, in these first 4 games, where the Pelicans had chances to take leads and run away with games, and they couldn't. Because Willie Green's going to do something silly. He's going to do something silly. He's going to sub in somebody at the wrong time. Sub in or sub out a guy at the wrong time, or put in the wrong player for a certain situation. But the good thing that you could take away from that is, again, a majority of Fierce's points were scored in garbage time, when it was mostly out of hand, when it was up by damn near 40 at that point. And that's what I was hoping for as I was watching the game. Please beat us by 40. That will make this firing so much easier to do. Please lose by 40. And they were trying to lose by 40 because this team has given up on Willie Green. Okay? And according to a report that's out today, sources are saying, according to Clutch Points, that the Pelicans are holding serious internal discussions about firing Willie Green. Willie Green might not make it back from Oklahoma City. We're being honest here. And again, he has lost his team because these reports are coming out. According to Clutch Points, amid the Pelicans' 0-4 start to the season, several players have appeared disinterested and frustrated with how Green's lineups are being handled. These displeasures have been visible on the team's bench as well as heard around the scenes, behind the scenes in the tunnel and locker room. These boys ain't happy with this man because they don't think he knows what he's doing. There's moments in these games, especially at the start of the games, where this team comes out and they're hanging in there and and it seems like once it's time to start subbing guys in, that's when it starts to get wacky. Because now, from what I can tell, Willie is doing things to sort of uplift certain players at the expense of other ones that could be beneficial to the team. And it's also getting real because, again, the more you read into that report on Clutch Points, the more you find out that it is getting ugly up in that locker room. It is getting ugly. Because after trailing 53-47 at halftime, which is probably the closest point the Pels had, the Pelicans were outscored 39-11 in the third quarter, allowing the Nuggets to go on a 29-2 run over the first 8 minutes of the second half. During this span, players on the Orleans bench were seen shaking their heads and essentially quitting in the middle of the game. Green called 3 timeouts during the span to try to get his team back on track. They're not there anymore, dude. They checked out on this cat. They're checked out on this cat, man. They don't listen to him. They don't hear him. And if they do hear him, he's calling the wrong things in the wrong situations. He's lost them, man. And again, at least you're starting to find out now that his time is ticking. Because remember in a couple of videos a couple of days ago, I told you that the number has been reduced from 10 to 6. Will Guillory reported that a couple of days ago. That number, that margin of error has gone from 10 games to 6. And it could get less depending on what happens in the next 2 games between the Clippers and the Thunder. Because what you saw last night was Willie Green pretty much saying, all right, I'm quite sure the front office is telling him, man, go ahead and put Fears in there. Let Fears start. This whole put Jordan Poole at point guard experiment is over. It's not working. It's not working. Because he just wants to come in there and chunk threes and try to chunk shots. You keep Fears at point guard and you try to figure out how to make him work that offense around at this point. If he wants to save his job. Because that's the only person that could probably save his job right now is Jeremiah Fears. Because even Zion has checked out on him. Even Zion has checked out on him. James Borrego, who was interviewed for several head coaching jobs throughout the years across the NBA, will likely be named the Pelicans interim coach if a decision to move on from Green is made in the coming weeks. And let me say this. It was also reported in that story that during pregame warm-ups for this game, Zion was seen interacting with Borrego and pretty much ignoring Green. I also saw in that game Jeremiah Fears. On the TV broadcast, you could probably see he was getting more coaching from Jaren Jackson and Borrego than he was from Green. Green was just standing there. He's talking to Jackson and Borrego, though, which means this team has written this guy off, man. And if you're Gail Benson, this is where it starts to get hot on your seat, because now you just been named one of the most powerful women in sports, the most powerful woman in sports, in American sports, and both of your franchises are in hot garbage turmoil right now. That's where it turns to now. You got to start. I'm not going to put this on Joe Dumars, because I'm more than likely sure Joe Dumars had a guy he wanted to bring in or wanted to get the job to Borrego, but Gail was the one who said, no, don't. Gail Benson probably told him, no, don't. I want Willie to get another shot. So this is totally on ownership, because Joe Dumars had to do what he could do under that constraint. I still think this roster is good enough. It's just not being managed correctly. It's not getting maximized to the top of its capabilities. But last night you saw Jeremiah Fears be an NBA point guard. Jokic was going to get his full triple-double regardless. I told y'all that, whether Zion was out there or not. There was nobody that we could do, nothing we could do with him. You at least in certain moments of the game was able to neutralize Murray and neutralize Gordon until it got out of hand. And that's why this team was mainly able to stay in it most of the time. Well, for some strange reason, you know, while Fears gets cooked, y'all don't send no help for the kid. It's like I said, the clock is officially ticking, y'all. The clock is officially ticking on the Willie Green era coming to an end. All we got to do is sit through it, because the team is making it easy for him to get fired. The losses are just getting worse now. You lost your first 2 games by single digits. You were in single digits in your 3rd game, and it got away from you because of your coaching. This time, they just quit. They just quit. Once they hit that 40 mark, I say they're done. Once they got up by 40, they quit. This team quit on them. Only player that was still available was Jeremiah Fears playing, and that's because Jeremiah hasn't been there long enough to hate on Fears yet. He doesn't know any better. That's the only reason. That's the only reason that Fears was active last night, because he's the only player on that team. He's so new to the team that he ain't been there long enough to get frustrated. He don't know any better. What are your thoughts, though? When do you want Willie Green gone? Tonight? As of the hour of this video, Willie Green is still the head coach. So how fast you want him gone? and can this team, should this team stick with Fears starting at the point? I think we should. Go ahead and let the kid cook, man. We ain't got nothing else to lose. Go ahead and let the kid cook, man. And also Derek Queen struggled last night as well. Teams have figured out Trey Murphy the third. What is he going to do? Clap back with your thoughts, man, with your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And join us here in Pelicans Digest, where we give you the latest and best analysis about the Pelicans. It's Melz talking about those Pels. I'll holler at you later.